Boeing 727 flight deck. This is 727 is the Dash 200 and is a cargo version. So, as any flight deck tour, I like to start in a certain spot. But this is an old airplane, so what we're going to be doing is starting off on the flight engineer's panel. That's it. Just two spots, the bottom and the top. We'll start down here. This over here is the mic selector. This helps the flight engineer listen in to what is going on with ATC and the pilots in the front. Believe it or not, the flight engineer is used for safety in the cockpit, so he can also hear and confirm what the ATC is telling them. Moving on, fuel heat panel. This aircraft was made before fuel additives were added to the Jet A fuel if it was too iced up. So what they would use engine bleed air, as you can see, engine 1, 2, and 3, and they would open this or turn this on to have bleed air melt the ice in there. And how they would know is when this orange light come on. So when the orange light comes on, they flip this open and a green light shows, and then when this extinguishes, they can turn this back off. Fuel temperature gauge, hydraulics panel. Now, if you've seen my hydraulics video for the 727, this should be very familiar to you. System A, System B, fluid shutoff valves, ground interconnect, brake interconnect. Now, I didn't go over the brake interconnect so much, but what that does is the same thing as the ground interconnect, like I explained. It wasn't demonstrated, but it was explained. And what it does, it uses electric pumps, or it's a standby system, actually, for the brakes, in case the brakes itself fail and not the whole system be. So, hydraulic quantity and pressure for System A and System B. Fluid shutoff valves. Fluid shutoff valves are used to cut off the fuel, so when there's maintenance being done, fluid doesn't spill out. So, moving up, we have the fuel panel. Boost pumps. Now in this aircraft, I can see the configuration. They don't have these extra fuel tanks, but they have left, center, and right. And from this indication, there's a Dash 15, so this aircraft has JTAD-15s on them. Oh, and these are electric indicators. Some of them have dials. Fuel boost pumps, left and right and center. Crossfeed valves, these right here. And fluid shutoff valves, or fuel shutoff valves. These are safety wired, so the pilots can't, the flight engineer doesn't actually accidentally do it too easily. Cut off the fuel, I mean. So, moving along to this side, we see other engine indications, engine 1, 2, and 3. Okay, oil quantity, temperature, and pressure for each of them. Annunciator panel for the flight engineer's panel. A clock, lights, pressurization panel. If you've seen my pneumatic video, you should recognize this: the packs, the APU bleed valves, engine bleed valves, and everything else that goes with it. The PSI, the duct pressure. Although in the system simulator on the video, it didn't really work, but whatever. Continuing on, as you can see, I told you this is a cargo plane. Here's all its indications for the cargo fire. Electrical panel, once again, you should recognize this from my electrical video. I shouldn't really need to go over this, but I'll go over it very quickly. I won't go over this because you should know this, but over here, the essential power and the generator meter. You select this to see which one you want to read, and this one where you want the power from. Oh, that's the flight engineer's panel. Moving on to the forward panel. Everything in a new plane is the same as an old plane. So, airspeed indicator, dual RMI, HSI, artificial horizon. If you want to see more of those, about how it works, go to my 767 demonstration video and you'll see. Electronic instantaneous vertical speed indicator, altimeter, standby instruments, marker beacons. Now marker beacons are actually for a pilot and avionics. They help to indicate to the pilot how far away from the runway they actually are. Now, engine indications, N1, exhaust, N2, fuel flow, EPR. Okay, see, JTAD-15As, and they have their, their limitations right there for the EGT. Landing gear, oil bypass lights, flap indications, and the first officer's instruments. Weather radar. This aircraft does not normally come with a weather radar, but you can have that option, and this one obviously has it. ADF, automatic direction finder instrument, the type of nav aid, autopilot, VHF1, VHF2, throttles, self-explanatory, reverse thrusts, spoilers, flaps, parking brake, trim wheel. This thing actually has a handle that can come out. Fuel levers, and radio panel with the autopilot on off right here. So, hydraulic power on the overhead panel for this configuration is normal. If you do something like this, this actually activates the standby system. You saw that get demonstrated in my hydraulics video. Anti-skid gear indications, interior lights, exterior lights, transponders up here instead of on the center pedestal like normal. COM radio is up here. More interior lights, emergency lights, engine start. Now for this one, you actually have to hold it down to start rather than it holding it by itself on normal airplanes. Now up here is the fire handle, and on this airplane they put it up here rather than over there like usual. Window heats and anti-icing.